Welcome to the Dr. Random podcast. I'm Dr. Sarah, and here's the deal. We don't do boxes here. Every episode is different, every conversation has its own flavor, and no topic is off limits. If you're looking for predictable, this isn't it. But if you want real conversations, honest takes, and a touch of intellect in the best way, you're in the right place. This is Dr. Random Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Random Podcast. I'm Dr. Sarah, and today I have Aaron Silverman, who is co-founder, executive director, and dad of Ari for the Ari Foss Foundation. And I'm just forewarning you guys might want to get your Kleenexes out for this one. But it's also going to be very informative. And I think we're all going to learn together. And so, Aaron, can you tell me about the story of why you started the Ari Foss Foundation, kind of what happened, however you would like to lead into kind of opening up for everybody to explain what the Ari Foss Foundation is all about and why you've started this?
Yes. First, thank you for having me here. So when we talk about the Ari Foss Foundation. So the Ari Foss Foundation is named after my wife and I's first son, Ari. He passed away during birth back in July 2014. And going through that grieving process, we went in to have a healthy baby and then we left without a baby. And we had to quickly shift to how do you plan a funeral logistically and then also, financially planning for that funeral. I guess, fortunately, my background's science, so I just started Googling, how do you do this? And then financially, unbeknownst to me, my mom created a GoFundMe account for people to help pay for medical expenses and funeral costs when we went through it. And it was nice that complete strangers I didn't know were helping us in our darkest time. And so the idea of the Ari Foss Foundation came from that because there really aren't any resources in that area that help you plan, because you should be focusing on grieving, not going out on the internet and Googling, what do I do? And so that was the start of the Ari Foss Foundation. We wanted his name to live on. And prevention is obviously ideal, but there are so many great organizations already trying prevention. There's no way we could make a difference. And since there was nothing in the realm of what we do, it's how we came about. And so our main program is called the Cremation and Funeral Financial Assistance Program. We work with MUSC and Roper St. Francis, and they refer families to us that have had a stillbirth or neonatal loss. And we help plan, we don't help plan politics. We help pay for cremations and funerals.
Okay. That is just, I can only imagine, I've never myself have obviously I don't have children. I've never even been pregnant. I will tell you that. That's very personal, but I feel like we're getting personal today. So I just can't imagine dealing with that kind of loss and grief and then having to worry about what you're just saying. So the fact that you come in financially, help people kind of lift that burden off, because I can't even imagine the state of mind dealing with something like that. You probably maybe forget how to even tie your shoes, but you can, if you're comfortable, if you want to talk about that kind of.
Yeah. So when you start looking statistically at how this happens, it can happen to anyone of any race, any income level, it happens, but predominantly it is lower income families that it is impacted. So even a $250 cremation is beyond the means of some of the families we help. $250 might as well be $500,000 to them. And so for some of them, we are the only resource to pay for these items. And for us, the need necessarily isn't money. It is, you had a loss. And so whether someone really needs our financial support, that for us is irrelevant. The need is you just lost the child that you wanted.
Yeah.
And you're leaving the hospital without your child. And so that's where we come in to help.
I do naturally.
Okay.
So not to worry one bit. But yeah, as much and
Okay.
yeah,
Yep. So
This is good while we're not live, right?
we can make edits later.
yeah, for my property management company, I did a podcast, but it was just me
Okay.
talking, and
Yeah.
all this stuff is foreign. So
I don't want it to block you visually, but the main thing I want is the sound.
Right. And I can talk a little louder as well. Like I try,
Yeah.
I try not to be too loud.
Yeah, be loud.
Okay. All right.
Just
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That looks
Okay.
a little bit more. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there you go.
Okay.
And I'm yelling.
Okay. Were you in the middle of talking about something, or do you want me to?
No, I
Thank-
just wrap.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the mission and the vision of the foundation, it sounds like, we've gone over that. But say, for our audience out there listening, what is it that you feel like is important that you really want to, get across to them?
So this happens more than people think. Roughly 1 out of 106 pregnancies end in stillbirth, or neonatal loss. And so it's being that it's kind of hard because it's like when someone goes through it, you kind of tendency, you don't necessarily want to be there because it's kind of awkward. And so just, be there for someone when it happens. And if you do go through it, it's tough, but like you have to still get yourself out there. Like, so I'll use myself as an example. My wife and I, we kind of collapsed in on ourselves. We didn't go out. We didn't do anything. We just kind of bathed into grief. And then that's really hard to come out of. And like in retrospect, like we should have been just going for maybe walks around the neighborhood, maybe going to the park. We both like soccer, maybe going to a battery soccer game where we're like in a crowd, but not interacting with anyone.
Yeah.
Just to have some sort of being out there and being normal. And so like, if you know someone going through grief, whether they've lost their child, a parent or a sibling or a spouse, invite them out, go for a walk with them. It's not necessarily, you don't need to give words of encouragement or words to help, because really nothing you say is going to help.
Exactly.
But you physically being present, that's what helps.
Yes.
So that way they know they're not alone.
Yeah. And I think too, you guys, I think you maybe listened to my first podcast episode about father loss, fatherless daughter. And so dealing with that grief, of course, is, completely different. But like you said, it's like when you've gone through sudden grief or things like that that aren't expected, there's, a trauma attached to it. And it is, it's hard to know how to be there for somebody. But I think that I would say the first thing that you don't do is ask, how are you?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, and that's, not to make people feel bad, but that's just not the right question.
Right. And so the way I like to phrase it, so coincidentally, I had coffee this morning with a father of a family we helped for the first time ever. I've never met, I've met families that we've helped, but in public settings, like the memorial walk we had last year, some of them came, people have come to fundraising events we've done, but this was the first one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because like 2 years ago when we started helping, I probably couldn't. So even for me, the nonprofit is still therapeutic. And so I lost my train of thought.
Oh, coffee this morning. It's okay.
Yeah, no, before that though, they talked.
I said, not asking, how are you doing?
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
Perfect. Sorry. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
The way I phrase the question is, all things considered, how are you doing or how are you holding up?
Mm-hmm.
So that way I'm already prefacing it with, we know things aren't good,
Yeah.
but from the preface of things are horrible, how are you holding
Yeah.
up? And so that way, like, we're addressing the issue, not
Yeah.
just like, hey, how's your day? It's sunny. Are you
Yeah.
good? It's, you know.
And I just can't imagine, and I'm just going to say this, going through neonatal loss, stillbirth, that must just probably paralyze people with fear for a future trying again. Is that a big?
Yes. And so that would be more of my wife's realm of her
Mhm.
concern going through things. I don't like to
Mhm.
put words in her mouth,
Mhm.
but I do know, 'cause we now have 2 children at home since we've lost Ari. We first had a daughter and then
Mhm.
a son. Pregnancy was very scary for her,
Mhm.
and quite frankly for me too, because once you've become a statistic, you really worry about things that statistically are a very small percentage.
Okay.
And so it does impact you in
Yeah.
future.
Mhm. Okay. Um, and I think the resources, what struck me so much is just this topic in itself, like you said, it's not something a lot of people think about or focus on, but it does happen and it's there and it's real. People go through this loss and grief and it just, I mean, it's just so sad. And, and I think that, we all need to have a heart for this area. And I think with your foundation, that's a way for people to help out and support, people that are going through this. So I think what you're doing is really amazing. And, and you said that you said, like, I think you guys are the only foundation on the East Coast?
So yeah, so we're
Or
the only one in the Charleston area for sure. In our
okay.
region, we're the only one.
Mhm.
I haven't researched it in a while,
Okay.
but like the only one that I've found that was similar is out in the West Coast, and they require a bunch of paperwork to show that you've tried to get help in other places.
Interesting.
And we have flipped that on its head. We want
Mhm.
to be the first point of
I
assistance.
love that.
And so, but
Mhm.
I guess the downside is we only work with referrals from MUSC and Roper St. Francis right now
Mhm.
because we have relationships with those hospitals and we're
Okay.
able to verify with the hospital that there was a loss. So that way
Mhm.
we don't need death certificates. We don't need additional
Mhm.
paperwork because we want to make it as seamless as possible. It's just a form on our website. It gets
Mhm.
submitted. Then we contact the hospital to verify the loss, and then we make the payment to the provider, the funeral home or the
Yeah.
crematory. And one thing that I really wanted is when my wife and I left the hospital gave my wife a folder,
Okay.
standard folder.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, there was stuff on her physical health. How can she take care of herself?
Mhm.
On the right side, there was information about religious resources, mental health resources, if you so wanted that stuff, but nothing on planning a funeral and what comes next.
Wow.
And so part of the Ari Foss Foundation is I don't want people going to find us online. So
Mhm.
we created this brochure
Okay.
that talks about what we do.
Mhm.
And this goes into the brochure at
Mhm.
the hospital.
Oh,
Into
okay.
that folder. This brochure goes into the folder.
Uh-huh.
So that way families know that we're there. And so
Yeah.
that's the big thing we're trying to do is push information to the
Mhm.
families. Even like in here on the first page, it says if this is difficult, ask a trusted family member to help. So like we're even telling them up front, rely on your network to help.
Mhm.
And we've recently received a grant to develop a second program,
Okay.
which we call the Education and Support Program,
Mhm.
where there will be another brochure with this one that will link to other nonprofits that provide resources in the area.
Okay.
And so we want to get more into that like whole human side of it,
Mhm.
not just the financial side. And so that way,
Yeah.
because right now our support begins and ends with the payment to the provider,
Mhm.
but
Okay.
we'd like to become a hub to send them to nonprofits that can help them in other ways, support groups that can help them. So we're actively building that out from a grant that we recently received.
Yeah. That's, just that you talked about having the presence of friends during this time or presence of family when you're going through grief and loss. The Ari Foss Foundation, to me, I look at it almost like a presence for people at the hospital when they leave, that they know that you're there, that they can reach out to and get, the assistance they need for this. It's probably something that is just, like, I can't even comprehend how overwhelming or heavy it would feel.
And it's an odd thing to find comfort in knowing that you're not alone and that other people have been through it. So when we went through it, I thought like this never happened, like that something was wrong. Like it just doesn't happen. Like we're this weird anomaly that it happened. And as I started looking into it, it is more common. And then like people within our network came and said, hey, yes, I had a loss too, or I know someone that had a loss. And so that makes you feel less isolated. And you're more part of a community, one you don't want to belong to.
Yeah.
But there is, knowing that others have been through that as well. And so I mentioned our memorial walk. We had our first memorial walk in October of last year, 2025, at Park Circle, and families that I've never met heard about us, whether it was through advertising or whatever that came out.
Yeah.
Some of the families lost a child in like 1980s, in the 80s, and we're coming out and talking about it. And so that was really nice to see that we are building a community where people can come out and share.
Yes. And it's like you're promoting healing too.
Yes.
And that's, so important. And that's the thing with loss and grief. You could have lost somebody maybe 2 years ago or 20 years ago, but it's hard to describe to people that you can still feel that pain like it happened yesterday.
100%. Yeah. It's been over 11 years. It'll be 12 this summer. And there are some days it feels like it was last week. Just depends. And and it's really random. You never know what's going to trigger that strong emotion. And then there's days where I can talk about this with you and I don't get emotional, but there could be a point we say one thing and I might get teary eyed. And you just never know. And so it is something you'll carry for life.
Yeah. And, do you, just curious, so the hospitals currently, or when they don't offer any kind of support?
So
with this?
MUSC does.
Okay.
MUSC has a wonderful palliative care program. And through their nonprofit arm, they are able to help families.
Okay.
And they have a lot of leeway in how they can help families. Like if it's a family that's struggling, they could maybe help with some food. Here's some grocery money. Here's a gift card to Walmart. Go buy some groceries.
Yeah.
And so we really can essentially double what they can do. They have financial, due to their foundation's requirements, they have limitations on what they can do. So we can come in and help as well. But then a lot of other hospitals, they don't have any sort of financial support in this realm, and families are left on their own to figure it out.
Okay.
I know when I first met with Roper St. Francis, the nurses that were at that meeting were very appreciative that they now had a resource to provide, because they wanted to, like the frontline individuals, those nurses have a lot of empathy with the families, and they just never had an outlet. Now they do. And so from Roper St. Francis and MUSC, I've had individual doctors and nurses reach out to ask, to help the family, like, hey, can they contact you? And I'm like, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not the nurses and doctors not wanting to help. It's just there wasn't the structure for it, and we're trying to fill that need.
And would you say, do you have any projects or initiatives or anything currently you're working on that you want to share with the audience? Anything specific?
Well, we are building the education support program. That's a big thing that we're working on. We are due to grants. So we kind of expand to the hospitals where we get grants from. And so we've got some grants to move down into Beaufort and Jasper County hospitals. So we'll be doing that in the next month or two. South Carolina is broken out into four pregnancy care, OBGYN care. Excuse me. It's there's a perinatal region. There are 4 regions. MUSC is the regional center for our region.
Okay.
And then there's the Midlands, and then the Piedmont, McLeod Medical Center is in the Piedmont, like that's up in Florence. And then Prisma Health is in Columbia. And then the upstate region is broken into 2 sections, and they have 2 hospitals there. So our goal is to expand into McLeod Medical Center, because what happens is once we can get into there, we now have coverage for the highest risk patients in that region. And so we're expanding down to Beaufort and Jasper because we got grants from down there, not from the hospitals, but from public entities down there. And then go into those regional centers. So that way we have coverage of the highest at-risk families in the state.
And people that support and work for your foundation, is it all volunteer? I would assume.
We have one staff member.
Okay.
She is full-time. She does fundraising and marketing. And then I'm the executive director, and I volunteer my time. And so, but we are looking to hire a part-time project manager here soon. Because as we grow and build more relationships with hospitals, it's just like more than what I can do on a volunteer basis. Cause I do have a company that I run that helps pay for some of the stuff.
And let's say in the audience, maybe somebody recently or is currently dealing with this kind of grief, with neonatal loss or stillbirth. What would you want to share with them to try to reach out to you guys? Do you have anything you feel like on your heart you'd want to share with them?
I don't know what to share like on a one-on-one level, because it is such a individual experience. Every loss is unique. Every family structure is unique. Like when I say family structure, I mean like support system. That you have. Maybe your parents are close to you, maybe they're not. You might have a lot of close friends. Therapy is great. It took me about a year and a half before I started therapy. My wife started before me, and then I started, and therapy was a long and difficult process. But I learned my therapist figuratively beat it into my head. I'm sure she wanted to literally do it, but she couldn't. Both and. I could be both happy and sad at the same time. And so that was a really hard concept for me to learn. And so every time I felt happy, like we had a daughter, and I would be happy, but then I'd be guilty that like my son's not here. And so that would lead to a downward spiral of emotions, because I'm like, rationally, I knew I'm allowed to be happy, but at the same time, I'd feel guilty that I was happy. And so it wasn't good until I finally like grasped both and.
And recommending therapy is always good.
I highly recommend it. And my pipe dream, and this is a pipe dream, is that with our education support program, one day to be able to help pay for therapy for families that have had a recent stillbirth or neonatal.
That would be.
And so, but that'd
be a godsend.
That's a big dream. First, we want to be in we want the cremation and funeral financial assistance program in every hospital. And that's a few-year project. And then once that's done, we can then look at that potential resource.
And remind the audience again, how long have you been running the Ari Foss Foundation? It's been.
So there's 2 dates. Officially 2015 is when we started the nonprofit. But then we had Haley, my company that I run, got busy. And then in 2023, we had like $5,000 roughly sitting in that bank account for ever. I mean, not forever, but since it was started, we never did anything with it. I was like, let's just start paying for funerals. Because the initial goal was to build the education and then grow into paying for things.
Okay.
But we're like, no, you know what? We got $5,000. Let's start paying, and when we run out of money, we'll figure it out then and see how it goes. And we haven't run out of money yet.
Right.
We've helped 54 families to date with cremation and funeral assistance. Yeah, and we have a full-time employee.
Nice.
So
nice.
it's
That's so amazing.
yeah, so-
And and Aaron, can you basically tell us, and how we can invite the listeners to get connected with you, or how they can support the foundation? What would you like to share with everyone listening?
So, depending on where you live, we have our memorial walk in October. We ask people to register. It's at Park Circle. It's a public space, so anyone can show up, but we do ask people, to help support us by registering. It's a we try to make it into a fun event. So it's, we can remember the children that we've lost and have a good time doing it. Like we have a gentleman who played music, food trucks, vendors. But also you can just follow us on social media. You can follow our newsletter. And as with every nonprofit, donations are great.
Mhm.
I view donations a little, I want to make sure, so we have two pots of money. We have our general operating funds and we have our cremation and funeral financial assistance funds.
Mhm.
If someone donates and they designate the donation for the cremation and funeral financial assistance fund, those are only used to pay for cremations and funerals.
Okay.
And so we have separate funds for, running the business, paying for our staff member, website and all that kind of stuff. That comes out general operating. So that way, if someone donates, they can choose how that donation is applied. They can choose strictly to only help families, or they can donate to the general fund that we use. And so, so donations are always great and helpful.
Right. And I just want, and I think we'll kind of wrap up here, Aaron. And thank you so much for joining me here on the Dr. Random podcast today. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in, and hopefully you guys have learned as much as I have, and that, we'll join in on the walk and keep Ari Foss Foundation on the top of our list for supporting and donating, and just send a lot of prayers their way. And I think that, you guys are angels for doing this. And I just want to thank you for coming on the podcast today and just kind of educating all of us. And if there's anything you want to close with real quick, I'll let you before we get out.
I appreciate you having us here. We're a small nonprofit trying to become bigger. Like I always say, we're not happy we help families. We're grateful we're able to, because we wish the families had their healthy baby at home.
Yes.
And so what we deal with is very hard for a lot of the families. And so just following us online, like our social media helps, because also it helps us get sponsors, believe it or not, so we can say hey, we have followers on social media, and that way when we sponsors for events and stuff.
Yes.
So but if you do know someone's been through a loss, just go say hi, take them a meal. When we went through our loss, someone created a meal train for us. I told my wife, I don't want those people in my house, even if they're friends or family, leave them be. I was so glad they came every single time, because it helped pull us out of our darkness.
Yes.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, Aaron, and Ari Foss Foundation, everybody. And thanks again for tuning in and listening to the Dr. Random podcast. And as always, I will say ciao.